Suburban Living, Good, Bad, Neutral by Dreamseeker, Chapter 1. Glaston Township, State Percival, Republic of Shantou, Continent Barat, year 2040, Planet Grimoire. Sequestered in a high vaulted ceiling crisscrossed with thick supporting black beams, building were a total of 40 children, 2 instructors, and their assistants. Currently, all of the students diligently worked on end-of-semester exams. They would be free for an entire season of 3 months that would begin on Mother's Honoring Day. That was this day. However, due to temperatures being unusually warm, the room was stifling, and no one was permitted to open the windows to allow in fresh air. There were nasty biting insects swarming all the windows. Tick, tick, tick. The sound of the minute hand of the clock was monotonous and had the unpleasant effect of putting asleep even the most alert student. However, at least 8 children in the single-story multi-grade schoolhouse had reason to remain awake and aware of the time. After all, they had a most important date with their mother. They were determined to make it to her side without delay. The oldest sibling, Harper Frost, was worried. He, Anara, and Sherpa were gaining the impression that something was wrong with their mother's health. It had sharpened considerably today in particular. At last Harper finished the last of his exam questions and raised his hand, signaling he'd completed the hardest part of the end of the semester's testing. He would graduate with honors provided he hadn't flunked any of the subjects being tested with the exams. The instructor glanced at Harper. Assistant Drake, go collect the exam papers from the 2 Mr. Frost and Miss Frost, she instructed with a bored expression. Harper briefly relaxed. That meant he, his sister, and his brother managed to finish at the same time. No one could claim they cheated because they were in different rows of seating. As for the younger 5, well, this time they might have to take longer. This test was definitely more challenging than in the past, Harper noticed. He handed the paper to Foster Drake, who shoved past him with a scowl. Man, what a bad attitude. Harper figured that yet another bad rumor circulated about him and his siblings or his mother again. The instructor heaved a loud sigh. Anyone else who is finished may depart so as not to distract the remaining examinees. In short, get out and stop distracting her. Harper barely refrained from rolling his eyes as he gathered his bag and walked to the exit, where he retrieved his coat. As he paused to shake out his shoes to prevent any potential punctures to his skin, Harper watched as the other siblings, younger ones included, filed out of the room and followed his actions. They had to take preventative measures. The other students bullied them at the behest of their elders. It was no wonder that their mother, Davina, wanted a better future for them elsewhere. Should we go meet Mother ahead of time? It was Darrell. He had the surname of Payne, but had no interest in causing anyone misfortune. He was the oldest of the quintuplets. Yes, make sure the rest of them follow you closely. Harper was feeling rather anxious. I'm a little worried about Mother. Darrell nodded. Yes, we were all feeling very uncomfortable. Mama's in pain, Anara stated suddenly. Something is wrong with the babies inside her. Well, that was worrisome indeed. Come on then, we have no time to waste. Harper straightened from where he sat. Now his shoes were neatly tied and he was ready to walk home quickly. Anara's point of view. Before completing the exam in no time at all, Anara had received unnerving information about their mother through the various elementals that resided in their abode and the inn. Their presence and guarding over their mother had kept Anara sane over the past 8 months. Now, however, she was at a breaking point. That critical time had come and there was no time to waste. How should she appeal to her siblings to get them to hurry faster? A sigh escaped Anara. At almost 18 years of age, she knew men looked upon her with speculative gazes. The last thing she wanted to do was repeat her mother's very rough life as a single mother who was disowned by the clan, literally and cursed additionally because she'd been tricked by some of the more malicious womenfolk in Glaston. A sigh escaped Anara once more. Harper shot her a frown. His mother in danger. His terse tone warned Inara that he was aware of her unease. Yes, Inara finally told him what the elementals notified her about. I just wasn't sure how to let the rest of you know. The others murmured in consternation. She'd intentionally made sure that only her brothers and sisters knew what she'd said. Harper inclined his head. All right, we'll have to see if we can avoid getting caught if we run. And Ara's shoulders were hunched. That'll only work if we go outside of the town boundaries. She reminded him anxiously and shared a memory of what she'd seen happen to someone who broke the rules. This is why we shouldn't even attempt it. While it was true that the inn their mother managed was about as close to the outer boundaries as possible, they would get in trouble if they ran around like hooligans. However, Inara knew why there was a no running rule strictly enforced. She'd seen someone who broke the rule, and what happened? All kinds of nasty traps would break bones and worse, chop off hands and feet because the rules were broken. That just wasn't something Inara wanted to risk happening again. I don't think we have a choice this time, Inara, Sherpa spoke wearily. While he seldom spoke, when he did, it was either in agreement or disagreement, simply due to lack of time for them to squabble. Much to Inara's surprise, one of the younger siblings spoke up. It was Daryl. He had spoken to all of them earlier. I found someone who will transport us, Daryl grunted. It seems there are a few people who don't agree with how we and Mother are being treated. Inara was curious and yet worried at the same time. Who is this individual who is willing to help them out? As they exited the school building, Inara was shocked. Mr. Tanner? He was usually the rudest, crudest, and most hostile individual when it came to their mother. However, much to her dismay, he was ashen-faced and shaking. Come quick. There's no time to waste if you want to talk to your mother one last time, Mr. Tanner glanced at them. For what it's worth, though a bit too late, I'm sorry about how I treated you all. Subdued, the 8 siblings climbed into the back of the wagon, and Mr. Tanner took them to the clinic. He waited for them to climb off and then hurried away with his wagon. The short trip had enabled all of them to calm their anxiety. They quickly formed a line with Harper taking the lead, Daryl and Holly walking behind them. Inara stepped behind them, and she was quick followed by Ambrose, Jennifer, and Sapphire, with Sharpa coming up last. He kept watch for anyone considering stopping them and being nuisances to the very end. This time, however, no one caused a ruckus or a fuss. After all, as Mr. Tanner told them, it would likely be the last time they spoke to their mother while she was still capable of speech. Inara trembled with fear. Why was it their mother who had to suffer from such a horrible curse? That was the question all of them desperately wanted an answer to, but no one would ever give them the time of day unless to curse or throw things at their heads. Sadly, a horrible thought entered Inara's mind. Perhaps the passing of their mother was a good thing. Her suffering would end and they would gain their freedom to pursue their careers.